Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are here for a town council work session at 5 o'clock. Our regularly scheduled meeting will begin at 6 o'clock. Our 5 o'clock work session is devoted to looking at the Basalt River Park development and making sure that we're all up to speed as to what's going to occur this summer and what we have to look forward to in terms of our phase 1 park improvements, and get an update on the private sector side of it. So then we will break a little bit early. We're going to welcome the Boy Scout troop number 242 who are attending for their civics merit badge. So this would be a good place to get it, I think. So with that, I think we have determined that it'd be wise to call the roll for attendance at the work session. So our clerk will, Pam, if you would be so kind, call the roll.
I'd be happy to. Let's start with Gary Tenenbaum.
Here.
Thank you. Bill Infante.
Here.
Thank you, Bill. Glenn Drummond.
Here.
Thank you, Glenn. David Knight.
Here.
Thank you, David. Elise Hoddle.
Present.
Thank you, Elise. Ryan Slack will be a little late, and Bill Kane.
Here.
Thank you. We have a majority of council. Thank you.
Very good. So Ryan, I'm going to ask you and the staff to kick this off. I think you probably have some background for us to get us up to speed as to where we are with our own property and what the schedule may look like and what improvements we're going to try to get in the ground this summer. It'd be really valuable, I think, for everybody to know that. So why don't you?
Yeah, sure, Mayor. So James is going to kind of guide us through the conversation tonight. And so you should have a bunch of information in your packet, and he'll kind of go through those pieces. And then on the phone, we do have Tim Belinsky and Andrew Light, as well as Elise Wolf from Connect One Design. And in case there are questions that come up that staff may not be able to answer, or could just use some additional information, we ask them to join. So with that, James, if you want to go ahead. Thanks.
Sure. I'm going to share my screen just a quick second here. Okay. So this is a work session to provide council with an update on the status of the Basalt River Park development, as well as the Basalt River Park itself. Staff has provided a memo outlining the approved development program, as well as the ordinance that's included and attached to the staff memo. As background, the development program included 24 residential units. That was a mix of townhomes on the west end of the project in this area, as well as some mixed-use development with some apartment units that are part of that mixed-use development in this building E here. And 4 of those units are deed-restricted affordable housing units that were Category 2 rental units. And then there are also 8 market rate units in this building that have a residential occupancy deed restriction, so resident occupied deed restriction. And then in the mixed use building, there's 11,500 square feet of commercial office space that was approved. And then you have the nonprofit parcel, which is known as Parcel E, for 6,000 square feet of nonprofit use. And then adjacent to the park, where you see this building, this was a 3,000 square foot restaurant space that was approved. And then as part of the staff memo, we've outlined the community benefits that were included. Let me make that larger, just a quick second. I'm not sure I can. Anyway, the community benefits that were include a 2% real estate transfer assessment, as well as the 4 deed restricted Category 2 rental affordable housing units, which are geared towards people working in the Roaring Fork Valley between Aspen and Glenwood that make 100% of the area median income or below. And then, as I noted, there's the resident occupancy deed restriction for the 8 market rate units that are in the mixed use building. In addition, in the mixed use building, there's about 1,300 square feet of commercial space that's designated for nonprofit entities. In addition, the town acquired the parkland area on the eastern extent of the property, as well as the nonprofit property, the parcel E, at a discounted land price. And then the developer was also required to provide contributions towards the Two Rivers Road improvements, as well as the public improvements related to the public restrooms and facilities in the park. As I noted, here are the public restroom facilities that were identified, and then the Two Rivers Road improvements that are proposed include a crosswalk across, as well as some chicanes that are similar to what you see down by RMI property. Additionally, as was noted in the staff memo, the conceptual park plan was approved by the town council. It includes a great lawn area, as well as a plaza adjacent to the restaurant space, and then ultimately would include a restroom and new bus shelter facility adjacent to the bus pickup in this area. Move this. It also would include a new band shell in this area, as well as some play features near the river, and kind of some nooks and areas to enjoy the park. In terms of the status of the development, Basalt River Park LLC has indicated that they are going to move forward with construction of some of the townhomes this spring going into summer on the west end of the project. In addition, they are looking at constructing the restaurant building starting this spring into the summer. And then they are currently working on the entitlement documents for these buildings to start construction. Also, the town has closed on the park parcel, as well as the nonprofit parcel E, which is this property here. And the town is working with the town's park consultants, Connect One Design, as well as Sopris Engineering, to develop construction drawings for the park facilities. And the first phase of the improvements hopefully will be put out to bid in late March or so to see what kind of bids we get for constructing the first phase. The first phase of the park improvements that we're looking at include the hardscape on the park, so this kind of plaza area. It also includes the utilities in the park that will be needed. There's a misting feature that's included as part of the park improvements in this area. Let's see, you can get a better idea from this park plan. So there's a misting feature, and so there's some utilities that are associated with that would go in starting in the spring into the summer. And then basically the hardscape and the grading would take place in 2021 with all the softscape as well as the other amenities like the band shell coming in 2022, the summer of 2022. We do have Elise from Connect One is present to answer questions that council may have after the staff's presentation. It should be noted that staff and the town town's consultants are starting to work with Post on some of the details related to the park. In terms of the discussion topics that have come up from various council members as well as staff, the first one that's outlined in your staff memo is an adjustment to the proposed townhome layout from what was approved. Basically, the applicant are requesting to adjust the townhome layout to take one of the townhomes that was approved in this kind of four bay of townhomes and shift it over a bit to better line up for with the first phase and phasing. Staff is working on this at an administrative level and felt that this kind of adjustment is in character with the approvals. So we just kind of wanted to point that out as an item that's happening out there. Other topics that are included in the staff memo for consideration is the nonprofit parcel E. Let me go back to that. You know, there may be, depending on who the end user of that property, there may be a need to make some adjustments to the approvals. Basalt River Park LLC is already talking to some nonprofit entities or persons as well about use of that property, but we haven't went too far there. Other items include consistency of the project architecture with the drawings that were in the final approvals. Let me just make an adjustment here. Can everybody see the sketches that are in your packet? There were some sketches that were shown as part of the final plan review. They're included in your packet. Staff has heard some comments from council members recently. Staff has not seen final architecture from the developers as they are still working on the final architecture. Staff has seen some building sections and they appear to be consistent with the concept that was provided as part of final with the step back of the upper floors on the townhome buildings as well as the mixed use building. Staff showing some shots here of the architecture that was approved. This is from the park area looking back at the townhomes. There was some sketches or vignettes showing the step back of the upper floors, and this is from Two Rivers Road. There were also some more shots from Two Rivers Road.
James, I'm not seeing what you're describing.
Yeah, you're still showing the overhead.
Okay, I apologize. Let's see. Can you see them now?
Yes.
Okay. So here was the shot of the townhomes from the park showing the upper floors step back. And then we had some architecture shown as part of the final plan. These were some vignettes showing the townhomes from Two Rivers Road. And then this was a vignette of the makerspace building, mixed-use building, showing the upper floor being set back. So as I noted, staff hasn't seen final architecture yet because the applicants are working on it. Staff will require that it be consistent with the character drawings that were shown as part of the final plan review. Other topics, lastly, would be the park and development phasing. As I indicated, the applicant will be constructing a park water line across the park kind of at the beginning of the project, and then the park grading and utilities will come along this summer. And then the applicant will also start construction on the townhomes to the east as well as the restaurant adjacent to the park. So this evening, let me stop sharing my screen. Staff felt it appropriate to entertain questions and comments that council may have on the topics that were outlined in the staff memo or additional topics that council may have. As I noted, we do have Elise Wolf here from Connect One. if there are questions about the park, as well as we do have members from Basalt River Park LLC, if you have questions of the development team. Elise or Ryan, do you have anything you'd like to add to the staff presentation?
I think one point about the phasing that we want to mention is that the utilities and the grading will be going on during the summer, and our plan is to get the hardscape going in the fall, close up shop for winter, and then restart phase 2 in the spring, so that it comes off as one continuous phasing of the park, so the public isn't left with where the heck is my park? Angry mob signs.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you.
Glenn?
I guess the only thing, when we were talking about as far as from the developer's prospect, if we don't know what the art-based space is gonna be, and we construct a restaurant, is that gonna make excavation extremely difficult for what is gonna go into the place of the art base, or what was formerly the art base?
Well, through the development approvals, when the project was originally conceived, it wasn't thought that the art base was going to be ready to construct kind of right away. So the phasing of the approvals included that the restaurant space could kind of come along basically at any time and wasn't subject to, whether the art base was ready to build on that property. So, there is going to be kind of a vacant area there potentially, while the restaurant is being constructed. But, the development can start on both the east and the west sides and kind of merge together in the center through the phasing.
James, during the approvals of this, we knew the art base or whoever was going to be in here was not going to construct at the same time potentially as everything else. So can you just explain what they have to do to the spot to make sure that it's, not just a big hole?
Yeah, there'll be utilities stubbed out when they're doing all the utility work for the development. And then there's a requirement in the approvals to kind of come up with a temporary plan for kind of activating the space. So that's on the list of items to work through. Yeah, there was discussion as part of the development review final plan about, potentially like a sculpture garden or something of that nature as a temporary circumstance on the property. Does that answer your question?
Could we get a little bit more detail on what we think we're going to accomplish this summer, and what we can expect to see out there, and then what condition the park side, I'm really talking about our land and the public park space. I understand we're going to have some deep utilities. There'll be some mass grading work out there. How many of these pieces will be put in place? Will we be able to see the great lawn area in front of the band shell? And what is the phasing on that? When's the band shell come on? Is that year 2 or year 3? What is the timing on that? So, what's sort of the punch list of things that we want to get done this summer on the site? I think that would be valuable for us to hear.
I'll take a stab at that, and maybe Elise, you can kind of expand on my answer. Basically, what we're looking at is lots of grading related to the park, as well as the utilities that are needed for facilities in the park, and then also kind of the hardscape at the end of the summer adjacent to the restaurant facilities. But the Great Lawn itself, other than kind of the grading that's happening for it, wouldn't come along until summer of 2022 or the second year. And then the amenities like the band shell also wouldn't come along till 2022. Elise, do you have anything to add?
Do you want to look at the map and walk through it on the map too?
I can bring the map back up just
Yeah,
a second.
I think that would be good.
So basically, as I was identifying, the grading for this portion of the park would happen 2021. The hardscape adjacent to the restaurant would also happen in 2021. And then the actual softscape or the Great Lawn, as well as the band shell and the bus shelter, park restrooms, wouldn't come along until the summer of 2022.
And the misting.
Second year. Also, there's misting features that are part of this kind of wall area, and they wouldn't come along until 2022 either.
We would stub out all the utilities for the misting feature, but it would be left open for installation for 2022. And then all of the kind of gray paths that you see will also be installed in 2021. And those are the decomposed granite gravel pathways.
Good.
So people can still, depending on how we work construction fencing, people can still circulate on those paths through the winter.
Are we seeding all these turf grass areas, or are they gonna be sodded? Or we don't know?
I think the Great Lawn would be sodded, and then there's a fescue mix that goes in the hay bale area. So it's gonna be kind of a mix between a natural grass and a little bit of a softer fescue that a lawn is made out of. As you move your way west, it becomes more of the native grasses to mix into the existing wetlands there.
We had there was an element of the plan, at this scale, I can't quite see it, but I think it's still in there, where we're gonna pull a little piece of water off of the river and create a small, very safe, kind of shallow play area for kids. Is that like a little stream environment? Is that still in the plan?
You may be referring to one of the older DHM plans, but we're keeping the beach area, which is where the culvert opens. I don't know if James, you can point to that area.
Yeah, it's right here, this
Yep.
location.
So water flows out of that culvert, and then there's a sand area and boulders there already, and we'll just amend some of that sand, add some benches and access to that from the path.
So do I understand correctly, you put kids in the culvert and then you don't see them anymore? The concept? No, I think I get it.
Hopefully none have disappeared so far, so.
So Bill, does that kind of answer your question about
Yeah, so,
phasing?
Yeah, walkways will be in, there's gonna be a lot of dirt pushed around. I worry a little bit about all that land being just exposed relative to fugitive dust and just being scrounging for another year, but I guess that's what it is. Are we gonna try to just throw any kind of seed down just to try to stabilize the soil? What's the strategy for the big turf grass areas over the winter? There'll be nothing there other than dirt.
We're working with Sopris Engineering to come up with appropriate erosion control measures, as well as measures to ensure that we don't have a bunch of dirt and dust blowing off the site. And we can kind of come back to you once we get that all figured out with Sopris Engineering. But that's kind of, we're working on that aspect of it.
Great. So it's heartening to hear this restaurant is going to be ready to go in phase one. They're coming right
That's the intent of what we've heard so far, that the restaurant is looking to be part of this phase one.
Cool stuff. Okay. And so on the private portion of this, they're gonna start the townhomes on the west side. So we'll start seeing footings and foundation walls this spring and summer. They'll be going vertical on that during the summer months and fall, and get roofed in over the winter, and be ready to open doors in 2022 probably. Does that sound about right?
That's correct. That's what we've heard from the development team, that the townhomes are the first buildings to be built there on the west end, and they're gonna start construction this spring.
Maybe, James, you could talk about the park townhomes and then Two Rivers Road, and what they're gonna see on Two Rivers Road.
Okay.
Yeah. And generally, it looks like the townhomes that are facing Two Rivers Road will likely be the first townhomes to be built, the first structures to be built.
And a couple of the river ones.
Okay. Council questions for Elise Wolf from Connect One or James? I think we all want to make sure that when the dirt starts flying out there, you're going to get stopped on the streets and, hey, what's going on in the park? So I think the idea here is that we all have our little cliff notes here about what's going to occur this year, and we can put all these improvements into a context. And it's, I took a little walking tour out to Stotts Mill this afternoon, and it's pretty amazing. There's one little information sign there, and in my time walking through, 20 people stopped and kind of really looked at the plan and read all the info on the plan. So it's just, public's gonna have a great curiosity about all this. Probably would not be a bad idea to get one of the illustrative plans enlarged, reproduced, and maybe put some signs out on the site so people can see what the plan concept looks like. Otherwise, you're gonna get 40 questions a week.
Yes, we can work on that. That's a good thought.
Councilors.
Quick comment, if I can make a quick comment.
David?
To that end, thanks. To that end, I think some kind of regular status cadence would probably be in order, just given the scope of the project, the amount of stakeholders, the amount of dependencies between the different sub-projects. As the project manager at heart, I think regular status would behoove all of us, so we can always have fresh information and answer those questions as we go down the journey.
Yeah.
Yes, we can strive to do that. That makes sense.
Thanks.
Any question, comment, council? Wish list? Elise? Not Elise.
And I have one question and one comment. Question first, I keep hearing rumors about who's going into the restaurant. I'm wondering if that's something that we can know and can be shared yet?
I certainly don't know it.
I might.
I started the rumor. I said it was going to be a Delmonico steakhouse.
So you're the root, okay?
I started a lot of rumors on this.
I might leave the answer to that question to Tim and Andrew if you are willing to respond to that.
This is a very well kept secret. I must say, this is like the Manhattan Project, security. Tim and Andrew are on. Either one of you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I just jumped on. This is Tim. Hi, guys. James did a nice job on that rundown. Yeah, the restaurant is getting a lot of our attention. We're working our way through the process of securing that. As James said, it was something that we, it was kind of a free variable, or part of, it was able to come along at its own pace, and we're very happy that it came on early. and it's going to be a great fit for the project site. But at this point, we're still, working it out. It's very focused, and it just will not serve anybody's interests if the rumor is clarified anymore. At least we'll just let it stay as a rumor for now until we come in with final materials.
Can you send us a menu?
Right? With nothing, yeah, it doesn't need to say what it is, just the menu.
With the restaurant.
For you, Bill, the wine list.
Yes, that too. Then my comment is just something I want to pass along that I've heard from the public in various forms, some more constructive than others. Just the idea to make sure that we're thinking about the park holistically and not like the existing section of the park that's sort of natural versus the new section of the park that is more programmed. And the reason behind that being that we don't want to encourage folks to think of the riverfront as private in front of those townhomes. So if we think of that park holistically, then we kind of keep it in mind that that is a public amenity. There's definitely some concern with a price point at $2.6 million for those townhomes that you're going to get somebody in there that's like, oh, this is my private riverfront, and kids go away. So just to kind of be careful and cautious in our communications and our messaging that is a public amenity, and you are very lucky if you are able to join us in this community in one of those lovely townhomes.
Yeah, good idea. So any other comments, questions on status on River Park from council? All right, going once, going twice. Well, thank you guys, appreciate the update, and it's going to be an exciting summer for sure. And we'll probably check back, and as David Knight suggested, maybe we'll ask for another little info update as we get underway for construction in the summer. So all looks good. All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
So Ryan Mahoney and staff, Pam, do we want to, are our scout troops on? Do we want to welcome them now or wait till just a little bit before 6 o'clock?
I think, Mayor, we'll wait till 6 o'clock. That's when we had told them to come on, because while some may get on a little bit early, there could be a few stragglers. So maybe suggest just recessing until 6 if that works for everybody.
Yeah. Let's we'll circle back here like 5 or 6, and then greet the scout troop.
Awesome.
Yeah, before we leave it, I think it'd be remiss in not reminding everyone about the art base, which is, I know, disappointing for a lot of folks who put a lot of time and energy and effort into this plan. I think we're fortunate that the art base has found a permanent home, and they got favorable financing, and they were able to stay in downtown Basalt, and they're going to animate a very important building and a really kind of critical space in the sort of urban scheme of things for Basalt. I don't think we should be discouraged about this open space, about this building parcel. There are lots of nonprofits and potential uses for this land that are really going to help us animate the park, and I think this is a great opportunity. It's a change, but one door closes, another opens. So I've heard some. Can't disclose names because people do due diligence and really have to think through these things. But we've had some very encouraging conversations with some really solid nonprofits that would be exciting additions to our downtown. So let's keep kind of our spirits up about that. I think it's going to be a good result for all of us. So,
Bill, who's having those conversations?
Who's having the conversations?
Yeah.
Our town manager for one, and I have not, I've made up a few, but no. Ryan's,
Along with your Delmonicos?
yeah, Ryan's had some good conversations. We can't, in fairness to the nonprofits, we can't disclose who, but I can assure you these are real folks, and it lifts your spirits to find out how much visibility and how much interest there is in this parcel. So
I'm only asking because there was something mentioned. I'm a little bit confused because there's nonprofit space in the mixed use, and then there's also this nonprofit parcel. So I was just trying to get clarification on that.
yeah,
So, Elise, I'm happy to offer that, that clarification. So with the nonprofit spaces that are part of the private side development, that I think equates to about 1,600 square feet of nonprofit space, those ones are kind of smaller spaces and will be built within that mixed use building. And the parcel E, the nonprofit parcel that the town purchased where the art base was going to locate, you know, that one is obviously a larger building potentially there, and a lot unto itself. And so, you know, I think any discussions that we've had so far have been informal. There's certainly nothing that's been formalized, and I think there's just interest out there of people shopping around. So it just hasn't raised to a level of bringing it to council. But, you know, I think as council kind of chews on the information tonight that you've heard, and some of it might be new information as far as just sort of the phasing or the program for development, you know, we may want to start thinking about what does become of the art-based parcel, and, you know, do we want to in the next few months put out, you know, a request for some letters of interest or something along those lines that might just give council an idea of, okay, well, who's out there? You know, I think we were pretty specific in the ordinance that approved it, that, you know, the first swipe would be for an arts nonprofit, and then, you know, the second would be you know, a community serving nonprofit that I think the intent was to bring vitality to that location. And so if council were interested in that, you know, staff can work on something to put out and just, you know, basically get some information back and kind of start that process. And, you know, like the question was asked earlier, well, is it going to work to build on that after there's already a restaurant in and such? And the short answer, I think, is yes. You know, the art base was programmed in the third phase of that development to begin with. And so, you know, I think, as the mayor said, you know, we're sort of in the catbird seat here, where we own it. So that's good. We can control what eventually goes there, and just ensure that, you know, it is going to be a complementary use to what we see as bringing vitality, and then ultimately, you know, kind of what the surrounding uses of the development would be. So if that helps.
I love the idea of doing an RFI. I would love to see, you know, who's out there and who's interested, and have an opportunity to kind of get a first glance, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think we ought to give that some serious thought.
Yep.
Glenn's giving me the thumbs up too.
Staff could work on that and bring it back to the council. And as far as, you know, time frame on that, maybe we aim for oh gosh, I mean, probably doing it at the next council meeting would be a little tight for staff right now. But I think just in a reasonable time frame, we'll bring it back to you and keep you guys apprised of our progress on it, if that's okay with council.
You know, the other thing is there's a fully, there's a building that's already designed for that site that's, you know, I think Art Base has some wonderful schematic design drawings for a 6,000 square foot building. So it's maybe interesting looking at that and making those drawings available to some,
Yeah.
if they're up for releasing them. So, yeah, a lot to think about there. That's good. All right.
Yeah, great. We'll bring something back.
Good. Anything else before we take a break, and then we'll see you for the regular meeting at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
me see how it sounds now. I had the volume turned all the way up. I'll just sit closer to the computer, I guess. Better?
Yeah, it sounds a lot better. A lot better.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay, good.
You heard. Bill, you're on.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is Bill Kane. I'm the town mayor, and welcome everyone to our town council meeting. This is Tuesday, February 23rd. And before we get into business, we do welcome Boy Scout Troop 242 tonight. We're very happy to have you young gentlemen join us tonight and learn a little bit about town government. We've got a wide assortment of things to take up, and hopefully this will be instructive to you and help you get on your way to get a merit badge in civics here. So we welcome you and look forward to your participation. So with that, Pam, if you'd please call the roll for the regular portion of our meeting.
Absolutely. That's 6:06. All right, let's begin with Ryan Slack.
Here.
Welcome, Ryan. Elise Hoddle.
Present.
Thank you, Elise. David Knight.
Here.
Thank you, David. Glenn Drummond.
Here and present.
Thank you. Bill Infante. Maybe he stepped away from his desk for the moment. Gary Tenenbaum.
On Zoom.
Thank you,
No, I
Bill.
sit here.
Oh, thank you, Bill. Thank you. And Bill Kane.
Yes, here. Thank you.
Okay, everyone is present, sir.
All right. So our first order of business is to adopt our consent agenda. And for the scouts, I'm not going to do this in every item, but just to explain how this works. There are items that don't require full deliberation, and we can approve them under consent in one fell swoop. So this will include minutes from February 9, 2021, letter of support to Bowtie Cinemas to encourage them to stay the course with Movie Land and reassert the importance of Movie Land for the town. 3C is resolution number 8 of 2021, which is a resolution granting approval for a community garden on the Gray High open space out by the high school. So I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, item number 3 on our council agenda.
Mayor, I move the town council approve consent agenda items as presented.
Okay.
Okay, been moved and seconded, moved by Glenn and seconded by Ryan Slack. So can we do this by voice vote?
Mayor, this needs to be a roll call because we do have a resolution attached
Thank you.
to it.
Let's call the roll.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's begin with David Knight.
Yes.
Thank you. Bill Infante.
Yes.
Thank you. Glenn Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you. Elise Hoddle.
Yes.
Thank you. Ryan Slack.
Yes.
Thank you. Bill Kane.
Yes.
Thank you. Gary Tenenbaum.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Okay. Our next order of business is to open the meeting to call to the public for any public comments. So this is a time when members of the public can address town council. Please limit comments to 3 minutes and identify yourself by name and address when making comments. Be reminded that council will take no action other than direct the town council. So Susan Philp will explain in more detail how to call in if you'd like to address the council tonight.
So the best way to access the meeting is through the Agenda Center on the town's webpage, www.basalt.net, and the second page of that packet is a link that you can simply access, a Zoom link that will take you in, and then Pam will advance you. Or you can call, and Caesar has that number up on the screen right now. You can call 1-253-215-8782, and then the webinar ID is 997-2552-7361, and Pam will elevate you when it's your time to speak. We do know that we have a couple individuals that would like to speak. We did get a request from Rick Stevens that he would like us to to read his comments into the record, and they are, I think, less than 3 minutes, so they fit the opportunity to do that, and I think Pam was going to read those, unless Pam, you would like me to.
So Rick Stevens has joined the meeting, and Carol Hawk also has had her hand up for a bit here to speak.
Okay, were you gonna read Rick Stevens' comments, or would you like me to?
I believe Rick is going to read his own comments.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, let's do
Yeah.
his first then.
Mayor, how would you like to proceed? Do you want to do?
Well, let's admit, Rick, I don't see him on our,
Yeah.
yeah, here he is. So I think we would
Hi.
acknowledge Rick and thank him for coming tonight, and the mic is open for Mr. Stevens to address the council.
Thank you, sir, Mayor. I'm going to try to find the email I sent here just a minute ago, so that can help me frame my short-term memory's like 3 minutes long. So,
Pretty good.
yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
I'll forward them
Oh,
to
here,
you.
I've got it. I've got it.
Okay.
I found it. So anyway, most of you know my history with the town, and you know, I was a young man when the discussion started about the Pan Fork and the opportunities there. We won't digress. The one thing that I only heard a little bit of the comment made earlier in the work session, because some people were more muted than others, but not muted per se, but less volume. So one of the things that struck me during the conversation with Connect One was there didn't seem to be a really clear timeline for the project, the exception of where the project was going to start. I'd really encourage that there be benchmarks established for the project that are the public benefit benchmarks, so that they can be measured by the community at large. I think it's important that the community see forward progress on the public benefit piece of this. So if that can be sort of milestones as the project goes forward, really interesting. The question I have about costs for the public improvements, that'll probably come out later on. And would that be supported by what we anticipate to be post revenues and other contributions? I think that there was a comment about not working much in the winter. I think in this climate in Basalt, an ideal time to do some of this work is in the winter, especially excavation. That excavation work is limited by water table. So, you know, from May to August, we do see a rise in the water table that comes from up above the site. And there has been a huge investment in preparing this site for development. So I don't know how much grading is actually going to happen, or the depth of foundations, things like that. The other question is the status of the map revision for the floodway, floodplain requirements from Corps of Engineers and FEMA, where that is in the process. And then lastly, the community-owned nonprofit parcel is a big deal to the citizens of Basalt. I mean, that was probably the thing that created the opportunity for this thing to move forward, was the availability of that 1/3 acre to become something that was truly community oriented. Like Mayor Bill said, he's happy that the art base found a home. I'm happy also, but I don't necessarily support a single nonprofit in this location. I would like to see it become an opportunity for a cooperative venture between, you know, several local Mid-Valley groups where they could office together, collaborate better, have a lot more community engagement, and kind of become, I wouldn't say a Third Street Center possibly, but some bigger picture thing where we incubate nonprofits and perhaps small businesses. So those are the extent of my comments, and I thank you guys for your dedication to the town, and keep an eye on things as usual. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Rick. All very good comments. Really appreciate the thoughts about milestones, timelines. I think that came out from the council that we want to kind of follow this pretty closely this summer, and you know, all of us want to stay on top of the the costs. And I think the comment about working in the winter is a very good one. So thank you. Carol Hawk is on. Does she want to address council?
Yes, I'm bumping her into the meeting now.
There she is.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Good evening, Carol. You got the mic.
Okay, thank you. Well, my name is Carol Hawk. I live in the Willits area of Basalt. And I just wanted to bring up to town council, when we bought our house back in 2000, I had a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. One of the many attractions of the Willits for us as a family was that on the map of the PUD we were given, there were 2 locations for future daycare. That was 21 years ago, and we still have no daycare facilities. The first lot was allowed by a prior town council to become more condos for the developer at 1300 Valley Road. And I recently learned that the second location next to the rugby field has been gifted to the town by Michael Lipkin. Most likely as an incentive to give the developer what he wants in the final phase of our community. The final area on the other side of the lake had once been discussed as providing a full circle community by building independent and assisted living for our seniors. With the popularity of the park modern, I assume we may just lose that community amenity as well. I find it hard to understand how the town can approve a PUD with such extensive community amenities used to market the community and then allow them to go away. Aren't those what sweeten the deal to benefit the town? We've been talking about the need for more daycare in Basalt for more than 20 years now. I'm aware that a facility has been conceptually drawn up for the parcel next to Takaw. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of money to be made in daycare, and a new building in this valley costs a lot. The idea that an operator would have bought the original 2 lots marked for daycare and been able to build their own facility wasn't realistic then, and it's not realistic now. The developer should have been required to build a facility and sell to the town at cost of construction. We as a community can no longer wait another 20+ years to get the new facility out of the ground. With the additional sales tax coming in from online sales, town's been able to successfully find funds for other town projects. It is past time to prioritize our children and working families. I ask that you add building the new facility to an upcoming session for real discussion on how to move it forward sooner rather than later. If we need to start fundraising as a community, I'm happy to help. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. And we can't provide a full response, obviously, but the efforts for parcel 2E, which is the one you mentioned next to Takaw, is taken very seriously by the town and the Child Care Coalition and everybody that's looked at this. And we're going to have some pretty active discussions in coming months about how to finance some of our priorities, child care certainly being one of them. Ryan Slack had a comment.
Yeah, I'd be happy to reach out to Carol and just let her know what's going on the child care facility side. And then I'd also like to remind her too that in the Stotts Mill development agreement, they're also building a shelf that they will have to offer to a daycare facility first. So we will be getting some new daycare online, and I'm happy to talk to her about everything else I know offline.
And
Great,
they started construction, so I was out there today. They are going. It's really going pretty fast from all looks of things. So thank you, Carol. Are there other public comments?
Pam? You're on mute.
No.
Thank you, Susan. I don't have anyone else here in the group
Great, thank you.
with their hand raised.
Yeah. So with that, we'll conclude our public comment portion of the meeting and turn to the mayor and council reports and comments. So comments from council. This is kind of open mic here. So David Knight.
Sure, thanks. I just wanted to respond to some comments to the letter that Auden and Ted sent us, if I could. Yeah, I appreciate the letter. A lot of really good information, especially as a resident of Elk Run. And it was for those who haven't, don't know what I'm talking about, it was about electrification, things like that we can do from a climate standpoint. So again, a lot of good information. I think it's a huge opportunity for us. And I know that last year we did express a desire to prioritize climate change the first half of this year, and electrification of our town built environment probably should be a focus of that, just given the benefits. So with, I'd like to make that a focus for staff and the green team and council. And I think it's just going to be a critical component of fighting climate change to meet our goals. So what I'm asking that we do is, focus some of the efforts that the green team is doing already, and kind of merge these efforts into the analysis suggestions of how we can accelerate electrification of the built environment, incorporating their existing plans for the year, looking at financial feasibility and sequencing as part of like the findings and recommendations, and do some work sessions with them. I believe, Ryan could probably speak to this. I think there's some things planned already, so it's not like this is totally out of the blue, but I think we should, get on a lot of this stuff sooner rather than later and make it a priority for all of us, for staff, for the council, the green team. And so I just want to make those comments and then, find out what the next steps that are already planned are and how we can prioritize these efforts here to kind of accelerate where we can and make this a priority for, fighting climate change in our built environment. And I'd also welcome other council comments and thoughts on the topic. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, David. Anyone else want to chip in tonight? Any comments? Gary Tenenbaum.
I'll just second on David's thing. I've been talking to Auden about this, and that's why I put the 30-year-old boilers in Elk Run, because I got one, David's got one, neighbors all got them, and what do you do with them? A lot of us have baseboard heat, not the easiest thing to replace, but some people do have, radiant floor heating, and you can replace that with a heat pump, with a cold weather heat pump. So I look forward to these conversations about what we can do. And I know the green team's working on it. I know staff's been working on it. And, I just think we all feel, we just always want to do more. And it's tough because we gave the green team kind of a list and direction. And, you always want to, you don't want to change it too much, but I just want them to be part of it. I just feel that we need to keep stepping this up, and it's just one of the things we called it. We declared a climate emergency, so I'm just hoping that we can, stay on. I know the green team's on top of it, but how can we always accelerate something and maybe show some bold leadership from the council to to really kind of kickstart electrification even further.
Great.
Mr. Mayor?
Council? Yes, yeah, Ryan.
If it's okay, I'll respond to that. I'd actually talked to David a little bit this afternoon about that. And when we got Auden's letter, I had forwarded it on to planning. So Green Team's gonna take that up at their next meeting. It's information in that packet. And I did verify that a portion of what we saw in that letter is actually in the work plan for this year, as it relates to doing some of the code work that might help with new construction. I've had somewhat of a lengthy talk with planning staff, and then David and I bantered back and forth about it today too on replacement stuff that I just don't have enough information on, if we mandate that in older homes, what does that cost look like to those folks? And then do you, try to get some subsidies for that? I think that's probably a bigger conversation. And I think part of, what Auden's asking for wasn't hey, let's do this tomorrow. I think we'd all find ourselves hung at the stake. But I think getting some input from people that are in the industry as a starter might be really good to kind of start educating us about it. And what does it entail to switch over from gas to electric? And are you having to do structural modifications in the home, depending upon, of course, what heat source you have? Just don't know. And so if we can start investigating that, I think that side of it probably becomes, a great thing to land on the 2022 Green Team plan. I think it'll take at least that long to, get those conversations going and planning. In the meanwhile, we're working on the existing codes for just continuing to make things better, including electrification and those types of things. So it's in the works, certainly.
Elise?
I was just gonna say that maybe it would be nice to invite CORE to come and talk to council during a work session.
Agreed.
And then, you all know that I'm very pro environment and sustainability, but the one thing I will say about total electrification that we also have to consider is the resiliency piece of it. If the electricity grid goes down and your heat and your stove and everything is electric, then you lose everything. So those have to go hand in hand when you do that planning.
Yeah, I would like to second the thought of engaging with CORE, and I think for this to be meaningful, this really should be a valley-wide and regionally coordinated effort. So, we don't have one set of regs here that vary from Carbondale, and then, we have a sort of crazy quilt pattern in the valley of how to best achieve.
Speak up, Bill.
Can you hear me okay?
You were fading.
Oh, sorry. But I think the regional approach is really going to be a smart one. So maybe there's a forum where we can get Rick and get with CORE, Carbondale. I see Dan Richardson a lot, and we'll certainly be talking to him about it. I think a valley-wide effort in terms of what we can do in code amendments and incentives and what financing sources are available to switch out from heat pumps to electrified boilers is something that we're going to have to learn about for sure. So I think Ryan said it, but I think we ought to talk to CORE, place that up as a pretty high priority, and get them to come to a work session and talk to us about electrification and climate action, and help us sort of respond to the challenge that's in that letter. So thanks, everyone.
Well, also Holy Cross.
Mhm.
Because, yeah, I've been talking to both of them, and, the reality is Holy Cross has a lot of knowledge on how to deal with cold weather heat pumps and stuff like that. So definitely bring Holy Cross in with CORE.
I think we're at a very educational phase. Like, everybody wants to transition to this. This is a time where it's public outreach, informing individuals of what's required, how it's gonna work, working with everybody. We've got to educate.
Well, and also one of the things that I learned from Holy Cross was we got to get the installers up to speed on all this new technology, because that's one of the biggest constraints in this valley of going that way. So anyway, there's a lot to talk about, but it would be good for us to continue the conversation and, really just, I look at it going, yes, we need to try to do this valley-wide, but, I don't want to wait too long to get everybody else on board. So anyway.
Other comments? All right, thank you, guys. We will move on to manager's report.
I don't have anything for you right at this moment, Mayor.
All right. Brevity is the soul of wit, so we will accept that and move on to presentations. First order of business is to hear about the Vista Project. So this is Ryan and Susan are going to fill us in. I had the good fortune to see a presentation on this at Eagle County, but I think most council has not seen this or aware of what the Vista Project's all about. And we need to appoint a representative to participate in the Vista Project should we choose to go forward. So, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's up with my microphone. So, Ryan, it's all yours.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So I'll introduce Angelo Fernandez, and he is the Chief Culture Officer in Eagle County, and Eagle County is undertaking this process, and with the aim to inform that government about their strategic planning and master planning. And so, Angelo, they have a request in ultimately to get participation, and it was asked that we sort of vet that. Unfortunately, as we know, with the passing of Adam Palmer, were delayed a couple weeks. They were going to come to the last meeting, and so these meetings are getting planned now. So just to let council know, I kind of looked at everybody's current assignments, and I did have a conversation with Glenn Drummond just to see if he might be willing to be that participant. And Angelo can kind of outline what that might look like, but it's a series of meetings and then coming back to council, kind of doing check-ins and that type of thing. But just to not delay that, I just took that liberty. So that's something that council can certainly take up tonight. But Angelo, if you want to walk us through sort of the details of it, I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, let me welcome Angelo. He's been a great sort of liaison with Eagle County for us over the long 10 months or so of COVID. And I always look forward to Angelo's emails, but it's always a little bit uh-oh, what's happening today. But we appreciate your hard work, and you've done a great job at communicating with us. And we welcome you tonight and look forward to what you have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ryan, for the introduction. As Ryan said, I'm Angelo Fernandez. I'm with Eagle County Government. I'm in the county manager's office, and just want to thank the entire town council for allowing me to come in today and talk about our Vista project. Let me share a screen here. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's talk about why first. So as the mayor just mentioned, this last year has just been one of the most challenging years that Eagle County, our community, the entire community has seen, maybe in our lifetime, right? And very disruptive. And so even before the pandemic, our communities were already grappling with a lot of the challenges that I think the Vista Project seeks to seek input from the community on to start addressing. So, that ranges from rapid growth to, these high housing costs that we deal with, social inequities, transportation challenges, and more, depending on where in the community we live. Like most mountain communities, Eagle County is pretty connected on a regional scale. And, kind of gone are the days of, and Eagle County has been trying over the last few years to really bridge the gap between the Roaring Fork Valley and the Eagle River Valley. And, with the numbers coming down on COVID more recently, we were actually talking this week, so when are we going to start our Roaring Fork Fridays back up, and how do we get that presence going back over here? We've been working towards it, but, I think we have a long way to go. But regardless, our communities are connected, and our residents travel amongst all of our different counties, both sides of the canyon. And so we think it's an important time right now because of what we're dealing with, to just to pause for a moment and take stock. What's been important to us, and how do we understand what got us to where we are today, and how do we use that to look into the future. And essentially that's what Vista is about. It's a chance to shape that vision for the future and identify those strategies and actions that are going to help get us there. The project will help inform community plans. Like Ryan mentioned, our comprehensive plan is something that has kicked off. This is one of the primary engagement vehicles for the comprehensive plan. The board will be adopting some strategic priorities here in the next few months that'll help guide us for the next couple of years. It'll help guide our economic recovery strategies as we move forward. And hopefully this isn't just for Eagle County, this is actually for the entire Eagle County community. And so for the town of Basalt, we hope that it can help some of your planning as well. So, for Eagle County as a lead sponsor and convener on this project, we want your community to be part of this process. And we want you, the town, to be a partner in this process. So that's part of our ask for you today. So when we ask, what is Vista? At the end of the day, the Vista project is really focused on community dialogue. So with traditional planning processes, a lot of times you have this initial community engagement that happens and then radio silence. And so our hope with this process is that that dialogue continues past that initial community engagement. So our goal is to co-design a vision and some shared values with the community. But to move towards this bias, we have a bias towards action. We want to make sure that what we hear from the community, the feedback that we hear from the community, ends up in our different plans, which end up in either policy or different action items that help guide the work for our communities and our institution moving forward. And so when we designed this, we designed it with this lens on equity and inclusion to make sure that we're reaching all parts of our community and that we hear from all the voices in our community. I think it's easy to say that, I think harder to do in practice. And so we've been working to bring in different team members onto our project management team to make sure that, the engagement strategies aren't just equal for the entire community. We think we can capture a large part of the community with our traditional and even some more of the progressive, even digital engagement strategies, but it's also got to be equitable. And so how do we meet our community where they're at to make sure that we remove any barriers or obstacles to access. So when we think about who is Vista, ideally when you think about Vista, you're thinking about the community at large. And so while we're the lead sponsor on this, we really want to act as a convener. We've been partnering with Community Builders, an organization you are probably familiar with. They're a nonprofit out of Glenwood Springs. One of their co-founders, Clark Anderson, grew up in Eagle County and knows us well, and now most of their team are residents of the Roaring Fork Valley, and so they know the Roaring Fork Valley very well as well. But in order for us to be successful on this, we need other partners like yourselves. And so we'd like for you to help join us in this effort and help us lead the project. And so that's done through what we call a stewardship team that will help steward this process, right? We have not pulled that team together yet. This part of what we're doing are these road shows with the municipalities. After the town of Basalt, I think the last one on our list is the town of Vale. Over the next couple of Wednesdays, I'll also be holding some listening sessions for our nonprofit partners. We've been presenting to the local business community through the chambers as well. And so this stewardship team, we want to build out with a well-rounded group of individuals so that many different sectors of our, or subgroups of our community are represented. Like I mentioned, it's a primary engagement vehicle for the comprehensive plan. So, that comprehensive plan is that blueprint for our future, right? Where's growth going to happen? What do our land use policies look like? How does that affect things like housing, transportation, our built environment? And so as it's that primary engagement vehicle for the comprehensive plan, hopefully it allows for that much higher level of community engagement and better alignment with other plans. For Eagle County, it's not just the comp plan. We're looking at the strategic priorities, like I mentioned. We have housing guidelines that get updated regularly. We're looking at regional transit opportunities. the climate action plan. I heard you guys talking about CORE earlier. How does it affect our climate action plan, our resiliency planning? And so we want to make sure that the feedback we hear from the community, because something like this doesn't happen very often. I think on the Eagle River side of the valley, this benefit like this hasn't happened in probably 10 plus years. And I know that we had a sub-area plan, the Mid-Valley Master Plan here in the town of Basalt in the last few years, but something that spans regionally, I don't think we've seen this in a very long time. What do we want to get out of this? Like I said, we want to take stock of where we are, kind of capture a current state and figure out what got us here. I think COVID has revealed a lot to our community. Many of the cracks were there prior to COVID. Sometimes those cracks turned out to be a lot bigger, maybe fissures or canyons in some cases. So taking stock of what's gotten us here, what's positive, what do we not want to lose about the character of our community, about what makes our economy work and what brings us together and really defines us, as well as what things aren't working well for us, what could we change and move away from. By doing that, we'll understand, how we move forward and create this vision for the future and these kind of core set of values that we share. All of this is done with this eye towards the collaboration and be able to work collaboratively and understand what the issues are. We know that we're going to have some difficult conversations, and I think the more we can collaborate, the more trust we build amongst our communities, I think the more effective we'll be in handling those difficult issues. Obviously, a big part of this project, but like I mentioned earlier, we have this bias towards action, and we want to try to find practical solutions so that we can make progress on what the community is telling us. So a lot of times that ends up in our policies and work plans as organizations, things like that. When we think about project phasing, we really break it out into two different phases. We're really at the tail end right now, this activity number 1 under phase 1, where are we today? And we're getting ready to, with the stewardship team, launching into activities 2 and 3. So, starting to define what matters to us as a community, understanding what the key trends are that has got us here, what's going on right now, and what's going to drive where we end up. And so that'll lead us into phase 2, where we really develop what are those goals and objectives, and what does vision look like for our region. Activities 5 and 6 are really about implementation, execution, and then stewardship. So how do we implement this? How do we make sure we keep it alive? And I think that's a big part of not just the stewardship team, but also each of our organizations as partners in this initiative. So what we're here for today, what my ask of you is to engage as a project partner and to help assign someone to the stewardship team. So the stewardship team, the way we've constructed it is it's about 30 people. And if we can get 30 people in a meeting, great. But we built it in such a way that knowing that people's schedules and sometimes we have conflicts. But half of that team we want to be from our community partners, our anchor organizations. So our municipalities, our nonprofits, business community. But we also opened it up for the other half of the team to be really from the community at large. And so who are those people in the community that don't necessarily participate in these processes traditionally, but have a good idea of what we face. They can be from different parts of the community. A lot of times we think about engaging our Latino community. How do we engage our aging adults? Eagle County has a rising population of adults 65 plus. Our youth, our workforce, in that whether they're seasonal or whether they're longtime residents, how does our workforce see the community and where it's going and what are their needs? As well as maybe our community members that are living with disabilities. So what we want to do is I'm going to send a follow-up email with additional information. We'll have 2 different nomination forms. So there's a self-nomination form and then there's a community nomination form. What we would love to see from you is someone from the town, if you want to participate, that you appoint someone from the town to participate and just use the nomination form so we can collect some information. It helps us understand who's applying and their motivation for doing that. As well as if you know someone in the community that you think would be great addition to the stewardship team, getting them nominated for this project. And so kind of with that, I want to pause. I want to open it up for questions. I have a few questions on the screen here for you, around potential value or opportunities, any barriers you might see, any initiatives or planning efforts that we should be aware of on our end, and any other feedback that you guys have.
Thanks, Angela. So we're not, maybe just back to Susan and staff, are we looking for an appointment tonight, or are we going to take some time with this and go through our own process?
Well, I think
Oh, sorry. Angela, when is the first meeting you have scheduled?
It was supposed to be last night, but, with the unexpected, untimely death of Adam, is really, we're having to regroup a little bit, right? This is the only activity happening right now as I've been out and talking to the towns. And there's quite a bit of energy in the community about this. The towns have been really receptive to it. We've been getting nominations from the community at large when we put a news release out there. So we actually haven't scheduled it yet. But for the stewardship team, we expect between 8 and 10 meetings that'll run through the end of the year. That takes us all the way through phase 2 into the implementation and stewardship, the stewardship part of the process. The meetings will be held after hours, probably, around 5 or 6 to 7 or 8. And, we plan on having, supports for the community if they have childcare needs, things like that. Obviously, right now, we plan on starting digitally or virtually because of COVID. But we hope eventually that we'll be able to get out into the community and attend different events, things like that, to help communicate the project, and then be able to even meet in person at some point. But I think it's a little premature to decide some of that.
And so the form that needs to get filled out, I mean, basically this council could talk amongst themselves here and then put somebody forward, and then they would just fill out that form and acknowledge that there's been that council buy-in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully we have more than 30 people, right? And we have to go through some kind of a selection process, but and like I said, we have some applications coming in, but yeah, that would be the process, right?
And then lastly, and then I'll let others chime in. So we do obviously have our own policy documents that inform growth within the town and within the 3 Mile area. Master plan being one of those that was just adopted a year ago. And then we've got a strategic work plan for 2021. To be aware of those documents, is that just something that the representative of the town would carry forward, or do you actually want to see them physically?
Yeah, I think representative from the town would help communicate that to us. For my own interest, we're always interested in seeing stuff like that. I'm sure some of our team has already. But I also wouldn't look, in addition, I wouldn't only look like high level strategic planning, master planning, because I think we're going to hear feedback from the community that might be more actionable in the short term, right? Things that we weren't aware of that might be a short-term objective, something that you can accomplish. And that's why we're also including our partners from the nonprofit and business community, because there may be some things that aren't even really in our wheelhouse or even in our jurisdiction, but we may want to support on, right? It may end up in the lap of a nonprofit as part of their mission and the service they deliver to the community, or it may end up as a benefit or a program that a chamber may want to offer to the business community, right? We want to ask the questions in a broad enough manner that we capture pretty open feedback, and it's a dialogue. There's some collection up front that'll help steer how we ask the questions in the future, but we want it to be a dialogue. So we expect a lot of one-on-one conversations with community members when we hear feedback like that, to kind of dig a little bit deeper. What is that we're hearing? When we see patterns start to develop, things like that. So yeah, absolutely, right, can inform big like master planning efforts, things like that. But I think we'll also hear things that we say, oh, we heard about that or we didn't know about that, but I think we can actually make some movement on it.
Yeah.
Right. Gary.
Thanks, Angelo. I'm looking forward to seeing where this is go. This is kind of, you know, I give a lot of kudos to Eagle County for committing this. Did I miss it, or did you give kind of a time frame, you know, of bringing this back before you do the comprehensive plan?
So the comprehensive plan, they have their planned element teams that are meeting already. The Vista team will start meeting with the planned element teams here shortly to understand what it is that they're looking for. So the planned element teams are smaller teams. I think there's 6 of them focused on things like housing, transportation, land use, things like that. The comp, we're syncing the processes up. They need a lot of this community feedback to help inform what they're going to recommend to the planning commissions. And so this is really a precursor to the work that they're doing, but they already have some pre-work. We expect this process to run through the end of the year, including with the comp plan.
Thanks. Yeah, and I think I support Ryan's idea to appoint Glenn to this, so I'm good with that.
Outstanding.
Wait, I didn't ask if Glenn was good with that. Sorry.
Glenn
I just realized.
Lightning just struck him there. Yeah, I just, you know, maybe this is by way of preview. I think, you know, we just completed a comprehensive planning process, but I think there are certain areas where we touch Eagle County in a sort of up close and personal manner. And I think, you know, just to sort of foreshadow some of those discussions, I think development on the Highway 82 corridor in Eagle County is really going to be a critical kind of conversation for us in this valley. You know, we are appreciative that we do have the Roaring Fork Planning Commission, which you know is a really good local sort of source. But I think, you know, maybe engagement with the planning staff and Eagle County Open Space and some others that will be very influential are going to be areas that we're going to be greatly interested in. But I also endorse Glenn. If Glenn's up for representing us and taking this on, it'd be fantastic. I think he'd be a great guy for it.
Same here.
Okay. Do we want to be so bold as to make a motion tonight to appoint Glenn, or you want to wait and see if somebody better comes along? What is the, that's not possible, Glenn, we know that.
I'm game. I would really enjoy actually doing this. Like,
That's great.
Yeah, it would be a good deal. I would like it.
So I'll make a motion to appoint Glenn to the Vista.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Moved and seconded. Do we need roll call or voice vote, Jeff?
Voice vote is fine.
Okay, great. So all those in favor of appointing Glenn Drummond to represent us on the Eagle County Vista Project, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
I hope everybody was unmuted. That's kind of it's a small point, but kind of the voice votes aren't very effective without being unmuted. So,
thank you guys for your faith.
and, this is great. You got an appointee from Basalt, and you know, I think you're going to find Angelo to be an excellent guy to work with, and so thank you for the presentation and coming on for us tonight. So
You bet.
there we go.
Looking forward to it, Glenn.
All right, any further questions? All right, guys, thank you. We're going to, at this point, then move on to our next order of business for tonight. Thanks, Angelo. And that is the December 2020 sales tax report. December And I think January, Christie may be. If I read January right, it's kind of pretty strong. So, Christie,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and just review these briefly for you, as council is fairly familiar with these reports now. Oops, wrong one. Here we go. Too many screens open. Okay, here we go. And so I just added in the December 2020 report just today. I was waiting on some information from the counties before finalizing, and I just received that. Really good news is everybody's somewhat aware already on December. The month of December saw about a 17% increase compared to the month of December 2019. So we had, the retail sales obviously was a significant part of that. Building has been huge through most of 2020 at a 46.5% increase for the month of December alone. Retail liquor at 42% increase, and sporting retail at 31.9% increase. Retail sales up 30.2%. Year over year. A lot of that, the retail sales increases due to the new sales tax rules. We still had some of that quite significantly impacted us. We had some losses as well in a couple sectors, including lodging at about 6%, restaurants without bars at 6.8%, and utilities at 12%. So that's somewhat tracking with the rest of the COVID part of the year. So for those local impacts. When you look at year to date, there was a 15.1% or roughly $1 million increase year over year on our sales tax. The main driver again was the increase in online sales, which I anticipated earlier in the year to be about 15% of the increase. So that's pretty much tracks. We did have lodging, restaurants without bars, and utilities, as I stated earlier, that were the negatives of the larger of our sectors for the town. And just how that compares to our projection in our 2021 budget for the year 2020 is that it's an increase of $270,000 for the general fund and $96,000 for post. So definitely good news there. And there's the reports. Did anybody have any questions on December?
Christie, I thought we had, if I'm muted or not, some timing issue with December, that we were going to see some revenues that would normally have been counted in December were counted in January. Were there some timing glitches between December and January this year?
Good question, Mayor. Thank you. So we had timing glitches in November because sometimes we have these biweekly collectors where we get 2 months in 1 month that we had in November. And in the prior year, between 2018 and 2019, we did have an accounting change because we are accruing 100% of the December sales tax now, whereas before it was not 100%. Some of the other sales tax was not accrued. But between 2019 and 2020, we now have similar accounting. So that is an adequate year over year change. And the month of December was also correct. And there wasn't any significant timing change. We do get more in our other sales tax numbers in December because we're kind of catching up, which is the point you're making, but.
Yeah. Great, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Any questions on December? Okay, get ready for January. That's
Yes, yes. Okay, so we're still seeing the increases in sales tax comparatively, 16.3% increase year over year. The building sector is the largest winner at 155% increase year over year in January. And 9.2% retail sales. We're still seeing some stragglers on the state sales tax that we're still just starting to take effect in January of 2020. So that number should start to decline as we go through the remainder of the year. Lodging at a negative 15.2%, and the restaurants were the negative for this month. So anyway, and we've seen a lot of increase in our sales tax, as everybody's aware, over the last 6 months. So if we were to continue along the same bend as we did for 2020, the 2021 budget would see an increase of about 10%. I think that's an important point to know, is if we were not seeing any increase year over year, that we would still have an increase compared to our budget, just because of some of the changes we've seen in the building sectors and retail sales especially. Any questions on January?
No, that's good news.
Yeah, for sure.
So like always, it's like, wow, well, what are we going to do with all that money? Well, we're going to see what happens in the coming months here, you know. So it's we're off to a very good start, but we don't want to count any chickens for their hatched here in terms of our total budget income here. So
for sure,
that's all very good and impressive. You know, it looks like things are likely to get more relaxed, I guess, in terms of indoor dining and group size and all the regulatory pieces of our COVID-19 program. We are introducing a 5-star program, which would allow restaurants to establish some operating rules that would allow them to weather through different changes in the COVID dial. So if we oscillate between orange and yellow or blue or wherever we go, they end up keeping constant their indoor seating capacity. And I don't know if Ryan wants to comment on that, but that's a harbinger of good things to come. I think the restaurants have struggled, but I think there is, you know, there's a sort of sunny horizon out there in terms of the 5-star program, and COVID reporting is now getting very encouraging. Vaccinations are doing well, and I mean, I think we have good cause to be optimistic about this summer. You don't want to go overboard, but it does feel like all of our masks and socially distancing and vaccinations are really paying off. So do you just want to say a word about the 5-star program, Ryan?
Sure. You know, so as Mayor Kane said, it's happening in both counties, and applications are being accepted there. Last week, I think it was, there was a call in the Eagle County side so that businesses could ask questions and just understand better what it meant for them. The reality is that there are expenses that come along with it. And then with the good news on the COVID dial, you know, there may be some businesses that, you know, choose not to participate just based on some, you know, some of the expenses could be, you know, upgrades to HVAC systems and things like that that could get costly. But that's just a decision that those individual businesses will make. They'll submit an application, and then the counties are actually looking for assistance from the municipalities to help with inspections. And so we have a few of our staff members signed up for that. It's required some training, and we have not seen an application yet. that we've had to then subsequently inspect that business. So, more to come on that as we get a little better clarity. I think, Bill, as you alluded to, how are the infection rates going to trend? What are opportunities? We're going to start warming up here in the not too distant future, so restaurants may be able to bring back some of that al fresco dining, which was certainly a hit for them last year. I think the vaccinations are definitely are coming, and the good news, some of our staff will be able to actually partake in that. Some of our forward, the staff that are out in public on a daily basis. And so, it's just an indicator of kind of where they're progressing, kind of moving through the 70-year-old cohort and 65-year-old cohort, and then, getting more toward different essential worker groups. So all good news, I think.
Yeah, and our public works are going to be working to get the River Pigs back established and get outdoor dining pretty much in accord with where we were last summer.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep up the good work on the sales tax, Christy. Keep that money rolling in here. This is good news. Council actions. Next item 8A. This is a resolution number 9, series of 2021. It's a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Basalt, Colorado, authorizing a grant application by the town to the State of Colorado Department of Local Affairs, Energy and Mineral Impact Assistance Funds for improvements to the Public Works facility property and East Valley Road intersection. Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor. So we are pursuing a grant for some supplemental funds for the Public Works facility. One of the requirements for that is that your council be aware that you're submitting a grant, and this is that step. So we've been working to get that application filled out, and this is somewhat of a fast and furious grant process. It was just released at the 1st of February, and you've got to come in and kind of fill out those applications, get them turned around, do these kind of housekeeping steps within a month. And so there's $4 million available. We've asked for $200,000 to supplement the $550,000 that we had in the budget. These are energy and mineral impact grants, and so you basically have to discuss how you're impacted from energy production or mineral extraction, which we don't have those active, mines and industrial pursuits in the town of Basalt, or even just right adjacent, but we certainly are impacted, regionally. Air quality is one of the factors that's in there. Some jobs competition with the ebb and flow of those industries, as well as impacts on our roadways. And so, we'll make the best argument we can and see if that bears fruit.
Yeah. Let us know if anybody on council can help you with that. If you need any support, we are there to help on that one. So we need a motion to move the town council adopt resolution number 9.
Mayor, I move the town council adopt resolution number 9, series of 2021 as presented.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
Absolutely. Let's begin with Bill Infante.
Yes, in support.
Thank you, Bill. Bill Kane.
Yes.
Thank you, Bill. Ryan Slack.
Yes.
Thank you, Ryan. Gary Tenenbaum.
Yes.
Thank you, Gary. Elise Hoddle.
Yes.
Thank you, Elise. David Knight.
Yes.
Thank you. And Glenn Drummond.
Yes, sorry about that.
Thank you, Glenn. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Next order of business, item 8B. These are appointments to the Green Team. So Sarah Nadali is going to introduce our appointees, potential appointees that look fantastic, and we appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. So Sarah, why don't you tee this up for us?
Thank you, Mayor King. Yes, I have a pleasure of introducing 3 talented and enthusiastic individuals who have applied and expressed interest in joining the Basalt Green Team. And I'll ask all of you to go ahead and you can unmute yourselves and bring up your video. I'll introduce first is Greg Smith. Just very brief background about these folks, and you can ask more questions if you'd like. Greg is a longtime Basalt resident. He has a myriad of interests in sustainability, but as we've discussed, sustainable building techniques as well as waste reduction methods, particularly compost. We also have Pranav Lakaina, who lives and works in the town of Basalt. He works for RMI, and his focus is on clean energy and transportation. And lastly, we have Martin Bonzai, who lives elsewhere in the valley but does work in the town. He works for the Aspen Global Change Institute, and he has a focus on renewable energy and efficiency. Wow. So all 3 applicants have attended several Green Team meetings over the last few months. They've provided valuable input and collaboration with the rest of the team. Currently, there are only 3 voting Green Team members, although the Green Team's meetings are always attended very well by partners and supporting groups. But these 3 voting members have voted unanimously to recommend to council approval of the appointment of these individuals to the Green Team. So really, this is an opportunity for the council to meet the applicants and for you to ask any questions you may have about their interests or their backgrounds or what they can bring to the Green Team. And so with that, I'll turn it over to council.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, gentlemen. This is truly impressive, and we really, it's pretty obvious that we got some real horsepower coming on the Green Team here. I guess I would, I'll just make a few comments. Pranav, it's nice to meet you. I had the pleasure of working with your colleague Greg Rux on a project, so I know the horsepower and thought process that goes on at RMI. It's very impressive, and I think you'll be quite a great addition to our town Green Team. So for all 3 of you, we had discussions earlier tonight. This is just representative of the dynamic times we live in. There's quite a movement, as you know, as part of our climate action plan to look to alternatives to fossil fuel for home heating. And so we're going to be undertaking hopefully some more valley-wide or regional effort at looking at swap outs and what we can do to go in the direction of more electrification for home heating and wean away from fossil fuel sources. So I hope to come to one of your meetings and chat about that with the group. You know, Pranav, we're also members of RAFTA, so I'm the co-chair on RAFTA, so love to chat with you sometime about that. And I also co-chaired our community task force on innovative mobility for the Upper Valley for the Aspen Institute. So that's how I got to meet Greg. So I know you come with lots of credentials, and we're going to be very pleased to have you. Same for Martin and Greg. But anyway, I'll open it up to council to see if there are comments or questions, or just thanks for these distinguished guys that have applied to help us. You guys must be
just excited. We have so many.
Very impressive.
Yeah, I'm excited. We have so many people that want to join this. So I really thank you all for doing this. And do you just need a motion?
I think so. Maybe do you gents want to offer anything? Do you have any questions of council, or you know, I think we're eager to have you. We're probably ready to tee this up and vote you in. But if you would like to make a comment, the mic's open here too.
Thank you, Mayor, for all the kind words. And when I was interning in 2018, Greg used to just sit in front of me, and we used to have a lot of talks around the mobility aspects. But yeah, I'm just super excited to be a member of the Green Team, and I've been attending a lot of meetings for the past 4 months or so, and it's just exciting to see all the members there and just how ambitious Basalt is in terms of its climate goals. And I'm just here and happy to help achieve those goals.
Fabulous. All right.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And yeah, I work for Aspen Global Change Institute just across the street from Town Hall, and I'm really happy to collaborate and really happy for all of your work too. Looking forward for a great year.
Wonderful.
And
right.
I just want to say how important the work that people are doing to try to save our planet. Basically, it's just so important, and I hope that other communities are doing similar things, and I hope that if we can encourage other communities to do the same, that would be great.
Good news. Okay, I would be pleased to entertain a motion to appoint these three distinguished gentlemen to our green team.
Mayor, for one, I'd like to thank all three of you for the time you're willing to put forward. But yeah, I'll make the motion. Mayor, I move that the town council appoint Greg Smith, Carmen Alaka, Martin Bonzi to the Basalt Green Team for a term ending in April 30th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, I think, can this be a voice vote, Jeff? Yes. You're muted, Mr. Conklin.
He said yes.
Oh, you're a good lip reader. That's excellent.
I am. I saw yes.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays?
Aye.
Okay, guys, thank you very much, and look forward to working with you and talking over these pretty interesting issues we're going to be staring down the next couple of years. So thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Council.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
The next order of business is item number 8C. This is appointment of Anna Lohr to the Basalt Public Arts Commission. Susan Phil.
Anna, you can put yes, you're on. Great. So this is the Basalt Public Arts Commission, and again, this is a request to make an appointment for a term ending in April of 2023, and Anna is the operations manager at TACA. So staff worked with Anna last year a lot with the buskers, which was a very successful project. So we got to know Anna then, and then she also has been, just like the other members of the Green Team, she has been participating in our BPAC meetings, and so she's seeking appointment. BPAC has a series of rules about membership because we were looking for a wide variety of representations from different arts and diversity and how to grow the Basalt Community Art Program. But there are rules that there has to be at least one member from the art base and one member from TACA, not more than 3 members from staff or the board from those organizations. So Anna's clearly eligible. She was recommended for appointment by BPAC at their last meeting. And again, she's here for you guys to ask any questions about why she wants to serve and just for you to get to know her a little better.
Great. Well, Anna, welcome, and thank you for applying to help our town out. This is really fantastic. And we look forward to CAW getting up and going. Sounds like it's progress every day. So we enjoyed the Buskers program. I think did a great job there. David Knight and I were out one night surveying it, and other than getting overserved, we really had a wonderful evening checking out the Buskers and look forward to. Are we going to do it again this year?
Yes, I think so.
Oh, that's great. That's good news.
Yeah.
So any questions from council of Anna? Sounds.
I'd just love to hear from Anna why she wants to be on the PPAC.
That's a good question.
I think it's like one is like my passion for art, and I think it's like really important to bring art to the community. And it should be also like free for all people, and it gives like a value to the community and to the town. And yeah, I think BPAC is a great program, and I would be excited to help reach its goal.
I'd be happy to entertain a motion to appoint Anna Lohr to our Basalt Public Arts Commission.
Mayor, I move that the town council appoint Anna Lohr to BPAC for the term ending April 30th, 2023.
Second.
Second, all right, been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anna, you're
Aye.
in there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you. Okay, we are
Thank you.
item number 8D, which is resolution number 10, series of 2021. This is a resolution of the Town Council of Basalt, Colorado, approving a revised sign design for the east entrance sign at Two Rivers Road and Highway 82, and directing town staff to request bids for fabrication and installation of the sign. And I see Lynn Mace is here. I thought we just did this. Didn't we just redesign that sign, Lynn? Or maybe that was 8 years ago.
No, we just redesigned this sign and now we need to get it moving. See, that's where I know you can spend your money, Bill.
This is James and Watkins are going to explain to us this program.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So this is a follow-up on previous town council direction. This is a redesigned sign that follows up what we did last year. We had an initial design that we put out to bid in February and March of last year. And we unfortunately only got one bid that came in, and it was too expensive for sign committee's budget. So we've gone back to our designers, which are Aceto Landscape Architects, and they have created a new kind of slimmer design that we hope will come in a bit more affordable and within our budget. And so that design's included in your packet along with the old one, if you'd like to look at that. So on January 20th, the sign committee took a site visit to the location this is going to be at. The location is Two Rivers Road and Highway 82, the Up Valley intersection, because there's a down valley and an up valley. It's an up valley intersection. And so we have a location picked out, and that we think it's going to be a good kind of entrance to town for people coming from Up Valley. It's worth noting that there will not be a plinth for public art, which was one of the elements that was included in the previous design. But tonight, sign committee is looking for approval of the resolution that's included in your packet and the green light to move forward with this. I think Lynn and we may have some other sign committee, maybe not, but we have Lynn here with us who has some comments to make, I think.
Is that for me?
Yes, Lynn.
Oh, okay. Well, I certainly hope that this will get approval tonight because this has been dragging on and on and on as these signs seem to do. I just want to make sure that you all, council, understands that we're working on the electric, pulling electric down. We will be working on lighting of the sign, and we will be working with Chris on landscaping. So that's all next, as soon as we get approval to send this out to bid. I also would like to make sure council understands this. Can you put this up on the screen?
Yes.
No?
Yes, just a quick second, Lynn. I'll bring it up.
Got it, James?
Yeah.
Sorry, James. While he's doing that, I'm not, we don't have a special plinth for art, but that doesn't mean there can't be art out there. And the landscaping will have trees that we can light for Christmas. You know, it's going to cost us about $5,000 to bring electricity to the site. James, that isn't what I wanted. It's the,
That one.
oh, there, stop. Go back.
It's the one that's upside down.
No, that's not upside down, is it?
No, oh no, I thought you wanted the other one, the more detailed.
No, you can see there's two different, this is the east sign, this is the west sign, and what we asked Nick to do was to design a sign that could be dual purpose. We get a 2-for-1 special. We were hoping and plan that this design will go onto the west Two Rivers Road and 82 Place. And then that is the completion. That the sign committee will have completed what it wanted to do.
And just as of note, what we have on the screen was the prior sign design that was too expensive, and we received the one bid on. And so, as we noted, we had Nick Aceto, per the council's direction, value engineer the sign. It previously had the plinth for art, as was noted, but it was scaled down to be more consistent with the south side sign as well.
Yes.
So do both east and west utilize this Gabion kind of design?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, to tie it in with the south side sign.
And
because we couldn't afford the steel.
gotcha. And with the underpass too. That's the
Yes.
similar look. Okay, thank you. But is there landscaping in the budget?
Yes. We can't do anything about the landscaping until we know that we have a sign.
Okay.
And what it looks like. Chris Beiser is part of our meetings, so he's in on it.
And for those of you that don't know Chris Beiser, Chris is our new horticulturist for the town, taking over for Tim Vogel.
Pleasure to meet everybody.
Hi, you got in.
I did.
Here with Chris.
So are there questions for Watkins or James about the sign design? What's the timing on this, guys?
Well, go ahead, Watkins. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we'll need to get some kind of final bid documents together, construction documents made if the resolution's approved tonight, and then we hope to put it out to bid kind of as soon as we can, right, James? So that it can maybe be completed this calendar year. I think we're aiming for.
Yeah, the other aspect we have to, it would be on CDOT's property. So previously we worked with CDOT to get to an approval on a special use permit for the prior sign design. We think we'll be able to work that out as well with the current revised design, but that may impact the timing as well.
Just have one last question. The red background material is called out as stainless steel. Okay, so it's on brushed aluminum lettering. Is that actually the color that we'll achieve? Is that going to be color tinted steel, or is it core tin?
Yeah, it'll be similar to the Southside BCC sign.
Okay.
Which is intended to rust over time. So that's how it's designed.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Any questions of council? What we're looking for here tonight is a motion to approve the design for this sign at Two Rivers and Highway 82, the east entrance. So.
And specifically, we're looking for approval of the resolution number 10 of 2021.
Very good. So is there a motion to approve resolution number 10 of 2021?
Mayor, I move that the town council approve resolution number 10 series of 2021 as presented. And I actually like this design better.
Oh, interesting.
For a second.
Second.
Second. Okay. Been moved and seconded. Pam, please call the roll.
Gladly. Let's begin with Bill Infante.
Yes, approved.
Thank you, Bill. Ryan Slack.
Yes.
Thank you, Ryan. Bill Kane.
Yes.
Thank you, Bill. Elise Hoddle.
Yes.
Thank you, Elise. Gary Tenenbaum.
Yes.
Thank you, Gary. Glenn Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you, Glenn. And David Knight.
Yes, and thanks for all the work. That's good.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you all very, very, very much.
Appreciate the long suffering. This is. So we will move to item AD. This is the first reading of ordinance number 1, series of 2021. It's an ordinance of the Town Council, Town of Basalt, Colorado, amending the 2021 budget and providing for a supplemental appropriation related to the Roaring Fork Broadband Middle Mile project. Ryan?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. So if you recall at the last meeting, well, I guess the last 2 meetings, we've had Jeff Kruger from Pitkin County join us and help visually walk us through this Middle Mile project. We approved a resolution at the last meeting that would support the grant, and now we're doing yet another housekeeping piece to that grant, which would be a supplemental appropriation to basically have the funding available. That's a requirement of the state if they're to award this grant. Want to make clear a couple things in here. First of all, if you appropriate the money and for some reason the grant doesn't come through, then we just don't need to spend the money and it essentially stays in our coffers. The other piece to this, you'll see we included the $16,819 that it would take to get the fiber optic over to the library. So Jeff and I jumped on a Zoom call with 2 members of library staff and discussed it with them. They're definitely interested. We have a follow-up meeting with their finance committee on the 10th of March. And so we'll find out a bit more about that. Again, if they decide not to participate financially, we can back this piece of the financing out of it. So we've got some of that flexibility, but this should get us to where we need to be just as far as compliance with the grant requirements in the eyes of the state.
No, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think we'd have to assume this is prohibitively in favor of the library to get the service extended. So
Bill, yell at your microphone.
Okay. No, I think this, I mean, it'd be very surprising, I guess, if the library would want to take advantage of this. So I think we probably ought to proceed with that assumption. So questions of Ryan on our broadband initiative. That's pretty exciting. What do you think timing on all this is, Ryan? What would you think?
Well, I think this building season. So, I think summertime, late spring is when that'll get off. I don't know that Holy Cross Energy has bid it completely. I think that there's sort of a waiting time frame to just ensure that the money is in place, and then it'll go out to bid. But I think in this calendar year we'll see that construction. The good news is a lot of it is above ground, so it's going to go pretty quickly. The below ground pieces take a little bit more time, as you know. So those will be the ones that we'll probably see moving into the latter part of the year, I suspect.
So when might we know about internet service provider and all that kind of stuff about how this would work from a consumer perspective.
Sure. So that would be like a subsequent step to, getting this installed. We know that we've got, at least one internet provider, and then there's that's a, sort of a private local one in Ting as one option. And then there are a few more options that, I think we could just simply make a few phone calls and kind of gauge their level of interest. One of those already has plans to do some building in the valley, and so they're showing some of those builds down in West Basalt, and just a discussion to see if there's a level of interest here in East Basalt, and so staff will follow up on those.
All right, council questions? All right, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 1 on first reading, series of 2021.
Mayor, I move the town council approve ordinance number 1, series of 2021 on first reading and set the public hearing and second reading for Tuesday, March 9th, 2021.
David?
Sorry, David.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries. Second.
All right, great. Did you want any discussion, David? Are you okay?
I am perfectly fine. Thank you.
Okay, good deal. All right, been moved and seconded. Pam, would you please call the roll?
Yes, I will. Let's begin, excuse me, with Elise Hoddle.
Yes.
Thank you, Elise. Bill Kane.
Yes.
Thank you. Gary Tenenbaum.
Yes.
Thank you. Glenn Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you. David Knight.
Yes.
Thank you. Bill Infante.
Yes.
Thank you. Ryan Slack.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, guys. I think that brings us to the end of our agenda for tonight. I don't know if you feel like I do. I was very impressed with all of our volunteers joining our boards. Got some serious horsepower going on to our green team. That's really going to be fun. And so thanks, everybody. And got more snow coming. So.
Mr. Mayor, if I may just say thank you, Mark Murphy and the Boy Scouts for sticking in there. Mark, it looks like he's the last one standing here. Maybe it was getting close to shower time and bedtime for the other guys. Actually, I think they're probably a little old for that, but nonetheless, that was a really fun process to participate in. So thanks again, Mark.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And we will do this again. Thanks and good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Stay safe.
Good one.
At all.
Good night.